sheep before they make a peep. They night the banks at night, no money. Call it fucking blight. I'm growing bright. Stardom of a kingdom to reap them of they rose. Kill, steal, and steal her margin. I ain't real my woes.
We going in on this one, bro. This is gonna be one of them ones, man. I want to get your thoughts. Because again, a lot of these games, I'm like, a lot of what we're saying, I'm glad that we're kind of on the same page as it relates to some of these titles. But another one I want to get your thoughts on is Final Fantasy X.
Oh man, you already know that one. I have that tattooed on me.
Oh, for real? Which one? What tattoo you got?
I got the jet symbol tattooed on my chest.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I got Ifrit, man. 10 version on my arm, bro. I mean, we on the same page, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like it.
We on the same page, man. For real, dude.
Oh man. So man, like Final Fantasy, I still play that game to this day. Like, you know, they remastered it. I still play that game to this day. The thing about Final Fantasy X for me would have to be, first off, the gameplay was dope, but it was really the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the first transition of, you know, Square Enix changing, you know, the RPGs actually like coming over to PlayStation 2 and letting them know, like, hey, we can do this. And that transformation, just the little nuances that they had, like, they still told that story great. And then on top of that, it was a story that everybody could like deal with. Like, I mean, I'm sure Dave can tell you, like, usually Final Fantasy goes into like anti-religion and stuff like that, anti-government organization and like that. That one right there, that one, bro, that was perfect for like 9/11 era.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, it definitely hit the spot, man. That storytelling, such fine storytelling done by Squaresoft back then. And I gotta ask you, man, how beast was your Blitzball team, bro?
Oh, bro, so like so like that was that one mini game that you're like, bro, if you don't practice, you're gonna be ass at. So like it took me forever, you know what I'm saying, on like the final playthrough when I got my stuff together, it was finally stacked. But like my first playthrough, bro, they were trash.
Oh my goodness, dude, my Titus could literally take on the whole opposing team by himself. That's how much I played. I played that game, that mini game, like it was a full game, bro.
Hell yeah.
Jet shot 1 and 2, just take out 3 defenders. My shot stat was so high, I could literally shoot the ball from across the screen, all the way across the map, still make it towards the goal and go in. Nope, dude, I played that part too much. I wanted a full game of that shit, man. I almost bought a damn prop replica of the damn Blitzball itself, bro. That's how much I love that shit.
Yo, I'm with you, bro, because I'm hoping one day that we can make that like fucking real. You feel me? Like, I hope that we can actually like play Blitzball, because that was a dope ass mini game sport, like the whole idea.
So
yeah.
walk me through something here real quick, because I wasn't again, my experience of Final Fantasy X was watching you play it, Mark, and watching Kyle play it. So so Blitzball was Blitzball kind of more, because I'm having vague memories of it, but both of y'all could probably walk me through this. Was Blitzball kind of like water polo or like a soccer type setup, or?
Yeah, it was like soccer and football meets water polo. So essentially the way the game would be, like, everybody's underwater and there's 2 teams. You can tackle each other, and then there's like a soccer / volleyball that you throw / swim with.
And there were stats that correlate to, you know what I'm saying? It was like Madden stats that correlate to your player. So I got to pass the ball to my homeboy over there. My pass stat is 18. This guy is in front of me. He enters my sphere of, you know, he blocks my pass. His block is 6. That makes, you know, the rest of my pass 13, and it has to travel all the way across to where I need to pass. And there was, you could go around the map and recruit people on your team with, you know, they even did like a little NFL contract where you could recruit different players on your team. And you had to know they play, though. You had to press square, I think, and you sign them to a contract. And then guess what? They're on your squad now. And dude, that shit was like, they really, if they were teamed up with EA, done, they would have my money, man. They would have had my freaking money, man.
Yes, that's a game I would bet on, I'd invest on, I'd play in, all of that.
So how did Blitzball correlate to the overall story of the game, or was it just like a little side thing to kind of add more time to your playthrough?
So essentially, Blitzball is actually like pretty much the main focus of it at first. Like the main character's father, he was a major Blitzball star, and the son is pretty much trying to follow in his footsteps, and the same thing happens. But then as that occurs, he ends up going back into a different timeline, and then that's when the story starts. But Blitzball is present there as well.
It was basically an abusive father-son relationship through sports. As weird as it sounds, that's where the main character Titus's his backstory comes from. Is an abusive father who's very popular, the number one dude in the league, and he has to live up to his father's expectations. His dad was like, you're not gonna be shit. You suck at kicking or whatever, and he had to fight that kind of the demon of his father a little bit. And even when he transferred into another reality, he still had to follow in his dad's footsteps because he found out his dad actually became kind of a decent man and helped that world become better through self-sacrifice. So the whole game, he's following his dad's footsteps and has to overcome his hatred for his dad and become a better person.
Bro, now I'm interested. I'm interested in this now. So, and not to get too sidetracked here, but like, was the overall story of Final Fantasy X, was it an alternate reality? Was it time travel?
Ooh, okay. So this is a perfect question, D. I do want your take on this too, because it was at the end of it all, the way that I interpreted it was another alternate reality that everybody was dreaming of. That kind of sort of like so Titus, when he was brought there, he was pretty much like dreamed of to save the world, and so was his father. And then finally he actually does it, so he disappears. So to me, I felt it was like a bit of a time travel, but really that like alternate dimension, like dream world type stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was for the most part, I thought it was a little bit of both because Zanarkand, the Titus's home area was 1,000 years old once he transferred to the different reality. And I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, if you haven't played the game by now, fuck it. Spoiler alert. He does essentially die in the end of the game once his task is complete. And so, I mean, that was kind of the sad ending that everyone was like, "Fuck, I want a happy ending," especially with the love interest. And then when it finally his love interest with Yuna grew into something legit, and by the time they were actually free to, be a couple, it was already too late. He had to move on. Hence, we got the sequel of Final Fantasy X too. But I think it was a culmination of both, a little bit of time travel and a little bit of a alternate reality. But in this case, the reality that they made was better than what came before and prior, and they stopped the generational curse that happened for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so, man, Squaresoft was on their shit, man, when it talks about politics, religion, summonings, the afterlife, everything, man, from top to bottom was really special about that game and how they transitioned to the next gen. And those characters still resonate with a lot of people. I would say probably the number 2 most popular Final Fantasy title after 7. What do you think, Mark?
Oh, hell yeah. Yes, definitely. It'd be Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 10.
Okay. Cause see, now I'm interested because I knew about Final Fantasy 7. Like anybody who's in the gaming knows the impact that Final Fantasy 7 had.
Yes, sir.
I
You
knew
know
about
about Cloud.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then old girl getting stabbed in the man. Yeah. I knew about Final Fantasy X again through seeing you and our other cousin Kyle playing it, but I never really had a context on what the stories to those games were. And I mean, we could even, again, this will just be a little sidebar. So the question I want to ask both of y'all then, like with Final Fantasy as a game series, each game takes place in like a different reality, correct?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
So none of the stories in each game are interconnected. Final Fantasy X was the only one that had like a direct sequel to it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, seven got some spin-offs and some semi-sequels, but 10 was the first one to get it direct. This is 10 too. Yeah.
So how does the fact that that's the only one that got like a continuation, like what does that mean for the impact that it had on the series?
When Square Enix and Squaresoft, when they realized that the fan base was still there and like they actually like, solidified it, like we want more, like it was the fans pretty much were like, this isn't enough. The ending is not enough. We need to know, we need to know what happens to Romeo and Juliet. Like this is not okay. I'd say what it did do, what it forced for the generation to do, because they didn't give us another like direct sequel until like Final Fantasy 13, and then we got like 13 Part 2 and Part 3 or Lightning or whatever, and like I don't really recommend that part. That I felt like that
Trash.
whole yeah, like you gotta please the fans. Like that led to that. Because Final Fantasy Part 2, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was playable.
Yeah, same sentiments, man. Overall impact of 10-2, it was history making in the fact that they never really made a sequel to Final Fantasy at that point. And this was before the 7 spin-offs happened. As far as the game, it's not the best game. It is okay. It did not carry the same level of quality that 10 had, and it kind of copied, some tropes of the times, and Yuna went from a kind of holy virgin mage to kind of a sexy, scantily clad gunslinger Tomb Raider type.
Yeah,
We'll just leave it at that.
So what y'all saying is that so for Final Fantasy X Part 2, they made her into a dead or alive fighter? Is that what y'all are saying?
Yes, Loki.
A lot of the fans ain't gonna want to, like, damn, how do you respect disrespect? But it's let's be real, folks. They kind of did go that route on that game.
Yeah, bro. So, Pain was like a direct ripoff of like Ayame from there. Now that you brought that up.
So to get back to, and I'm glad that y'all I'm glad we was able to get into that, because even though I was never an RPG guy, I do have a recognition and a level of respect for what those games did for the genre and did for the medium. Because now every single player game is a RPG. Even NBA 2K, my career mode has RPG elements to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like level up.
Right. All of these games have those RPG elements. We can name probably about 10 different games right now that are all blended into role playing. Even if they're not turn-based or strategy-based, there's still a level progression element to it. And I don't think that some of these games would have it if Final Fantasy didn't kind of prevail as a juggernaut the way that they did.
I definitely agree, man, for sure.
The renegade says about to unleash hate. Number 8, yes, you know I'm about to break it down the hell's gate. See it swell, yo bitch filling up my pail. Got a new bitch, call it jail. It's alright, I'm in the cell. Now I'm getting out, my niggas spouting out.